What's up, guys? Casey with the Golden Bracket Racing YouTube channel. I was at my dad's house for Christmas this year. The Malibu we traded the dragster for is in his shop. We just got the motor and transmission in it. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to actually make any videos about that because we were in a really big hurry. I only had 3 days total to get that all together. That car should be out here this summer. While I was crawling around under the Malibu, it got me thinking about the differences between this car and that car and what kind of makes cars not necessarily less valuable. It's not junk by any means, but this car is just a nicer car overall. And I kind of wanted to explain to you guys what you're looking at whenever you're purchasing a race car, specifically a back half car, because a lot of these cars are built in people's garages, not necessarily by chassis builders. And you can kind of run into a couple little things that maybe could make a car up to, $5,000 or $10,000 more than another car, just based on certain things. So I kind of want to explain that to you guys here. So we're going to use this as a base and kind of walk you through what makes this car more valuable than the Malibu. So the number one thing you need to look at with back half cars is how much of it is actually real car. Are the fenders fiberglass or are they real? On this car, they're real. That'll make it more valuable for a back half car. If it was a chassis car, it would make it less valuable because it would be heavier, but that's not what you're going for this type of car. Does it have a stock firewall? Does it have a VIN number? Can you get a title for the car? If you come in over here and look down in here some, this car has tubular front A-arms on it. If it has stock A-arms, it'll obviously be less valuable. Stock A-arms are heavier, a lot of times not necessarily as strong. If you look in here also, I don't think you'll be able to see way down in here, but this car has adjustable front shocks on it. QA1s specifically are what's on this car. Again, that makes it a little bit more valuable. Does it have motor plates or regular motor mounts? This car just has motor mounts, so does the Malibu. What else we got in here? What kind of coil does it have on it? If it has one of those round blaster coils, I'm pretty sure they're only compatible with the 6AL box. So if you're going to upgrade to a 7AL box, then you won't be able to actually use that coil. This coil by itself, I think, is $150, whereas those blaster coils are $49.99. This car has a MagnaFuel pressure regulator on it. This is $200. I think you can get the Barry Grant ones for a little bit cheaper. What else we got in here? Master cylinder. Does it have an aftermarket dual master cylinder on it, or does it have a stock type master cylinder? That obviously will cost you more money. We're kind of talking about this in a roller fashion, so we're not concerned about the motor at this point. But looking down in here, you can go down to the brakes. This has strange 4-piston brakes on the front. A lot of times you'll just have 2-piston brakes. At the same time, are they strange? Are they aerospace? Things like that. If you come over here to wheels, I'm sure everybody knows about this, but does it have something like Pro Stars on it? Does it have Weld Alumistars? These are Bogarts. I'm pretty sure that they're not terribly expensive, but they're also not cheap. What is the value in those? You can kind of go from there on that. Kind of walking around the outside of the car also, does it have real bumpers on it? These are glass bumpers. They don't really necessarily make it more or less valuable a lot of times, but they do make it significantly lighter. Bumpers kind of add up as far as weight goes. How much glass is in the car? Do the windows roll down? That's a very, very big deal for guys like me, and I'm sure a lot of guys like you that have. A lot of us racers live in hot environments, or at least when you're racing, it's hot outside. Rolling your windows down is valuable to me. This is all just that Lexan. Can't remember the name right now, but it's the really nice Lexan that almost looks like glass. Most guys think this is glass because the trim works on it. Also, trim work makes your car look more valuable because it makes it look nicer. The Malibu doesn't have this on there. It's just like normal, it's just screwed in everywhere. So I guess we could go to the inside of the car now, and you can kind of look in here and see does the car have carpet in it? Personally, I think if this car had carpet all the way back there, it would look nicer. You can look at the door panels and the dash and everything. They're all that black aluminum. I think it looks way nicer. If this was all black aluminum, I wouldn't bother even putting carpet on it. I think that personally to me makes the car more valuable. What kind of delay box does it have? And does it have dial boards? You know, certain delay boxes are worth $50 in the aftermarket. Certain are worth $450 in the aftermarket. Dial boards, I think, just to buy them are $450 or so. I don't even know if that's necessarily with the controller or not. Another major thing you want to look at is everything to do with the wiring in here. Obviously, this car is wired very nice. It was professionally wired, I think, at Maddox Race Cars before I bought it. I messed up a section right in here that I didn't put heat shrink on because I was trying to go foot brake racing real quick and needed my trans brake button because this car has a pro brake in it and needs a trans brake to back up, but it's foot brake only. So I'll fix that later. You also want to look what kind of shifter does it have, because shifters, I have found out just by working on the Malibu, are extremely expensive depending on what you have. We have to get a new one for that car, and I think even for it's a nicer shifter, but I think that it's even going to cost us somewhere around $200 just for something else. The major thing you want to look for in any race car, period, no matter what it is the cage, and will it actually certify, and what will it certify to. The Malibu just has just this down bar in it, which is fine. I'm pretty sure it will only certify to 639 or something like that in the eighth, which I think equates to like 990 and a quarter. This car will certify to 850 because it has the X bar in it. You also want to look at how your welds are in the actual car. Do they actually go around? Some of these cars, they won't weld it up all the way on the top because you simply can't reach it. This car is welded all the way. But again, this cage will actually certify to 850, which is faster than this car will probably ever go. Let's see, what else do we have here? The other thing you want to look for is what kind of seats does the car have in it. Those Jazz seats I think are relatively cheap. They don't look nearly as good as Kirky seats, but Kirky seats are also a lot more expensive. I think that the covers alone are worth maybe $100, maybe even $150. The seats can range anywhere from I think $150 to $600. So that's a major expense. What kind of gauges does it have? Does it have the cheaper gauges or does it have nicer autometer gauges in the car? Those add up really quick. I think that might be it for the interior of the car. So now we'll go back to the rear wheels, and the main thing you want to look at on these, if you don't have center caps in, is you can look and see what kind of axles it has. You want typically something like Mark Williams, Moser, or Strange rear axles. Again, this car has Strange brakes on it in the back. Sometimes you'll have drums on them. Obviously discs are going to make it more expensive. And now we'll go underneath the car, which I think is what confuses a lot of people. It confused me until I actually got a look at the other car and kind of figured out what the differences were between these two. So, if you look down under here, you're going to see, as far as a ladder bar car, if you have a 4-link, then it'll probably add some value to it. Ladder bars work fine on back half cars, really. But you'll notice these tubes are about 1 inch in diameter. The Malibus were only 3/4 of an inch. And if you see those versus these, obviously these are going to handle more power. They're going to take a lot more stress. The other thing you want to look at while you're under here is all of these tubes. See how they're all 2x3? A lot of cars are that way. I think the Malibu is that way also, but over here, the bracing on this car is just a lot nicer underneath. The Malibu kind of had a whole lot of 1-inch tubing over here. They actually didn't put a 45-degree 3x3 as they had on the other side. So if you were to I guess, have a person ride over here or something like that, the Malibu would have collapsed. This car, as you can see, is perfectly fine. Now we'll move to the actual rear end of the car. And then the last thing you really need to look at is obviously what rear shocks do you have? Are they adjustable shocks? Almost all the time they will be if they went to the extent of back half in the car. What kind of rear end does it have? A lot of times you'll have 10 bolts or Dana's. This has a 9-inch. They're just, I don't know if they're necessarily any stronger than those. They're more common in race cars, I feel like. The main thing is you can unload all the gears from the front and you don't have to kind of mess with all the separate bolts in the back. It's just easier to work on. And then the last thing really overall is if it has a fuel pump, what kind of fuel pump does it have? This is a MagnaFuel 500 pump. It's a lot more expensive. A lot of times if guys are running gas, they'll have that Holly Blue or maybe Holly Black pump on here, and they won't pump the volume you need to run alcohol through these lines. So that's pretty much what you're looking for more than anything. So hopefully this helps you guys kind of decide what you're looking at. Maybe it'll help open your eyes to kind of what raises the value on cars and what makes them less valuable. You can't really put a number on the value of cars because it's determined so much by what the market's doing at the time. But hopefully this helps some of you guys out. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel. Go and like us on our Facebook page. We got that rolling pretty good over there. Other than that, next time we do a live stream, bell notification so that way you know whenever me and George are on. As always, check out Graphics by TMK, Matt Eball over there. Design you some graphics like this. We'll talk to you later. Bye.